Let me begin with a very interesting leadership keynote address on positive disruption. What's next? This session is brought to you by Adamas University. We are very privileged to have with us Mr. Harish Bijoor, who is a renowned brand expert and marketing guru. He is also the founder and CEO of Harish Bijoor Consults, Inc. But before we invite him on the dais, I would like to request Professor Madhusudan Chakraborty, Vice Chancellor of Adamas University, to kindly do the honors of introducing Mr. Harish Bijoor, our opening keynote speaker for this track.
Good afternoon. It's my proud privilege to introduce Mr. Harish Bijoor, who is going to give his keynote talk on positive discussion. What next? But before that, I think I should introduce myself. I am Professor Madhusudan Chakraborty, the Vice Chancellor of Adamas University. Prior to joining as Vice Chancellor of Adamas University, I was in IIT Kharagpur. I am the former Deputy Director and Acting Director of IIT Kharagpur. I am the Founder Director of IIT Bhubaneswar. Post-retirement, I have taken up this challenge of setting up this new university, Adamas University. So, on behalf of Adamas University, I first would like to welcome Mr. Harish Bijoor. It's customary that I introduce. First, Mr. Harish Bijoor needs no introduction, but even then, I'll take a little while to give you a brief profile of Mr. Harish Bijoor. The next part on strategic marketing, branding, consumer behavior, retail networks, rural marketing, marketing research, and trend analysis. Runs a unique boutique consulting Harish Bijoor Consults Incorporation, a brand name that has a consulting presence across the markets of Hong Kong, Seattle, London, Istanbul, Dubai, and the Indian subcontinent. Has spent his career across the aggressive realms of FMCG, telecom, and consumer durables, and is considered a marketing practitioner and thinker who is ahead of the consumer thinking curve year on year. A public speaker who speaks to corporate audience across the globe in the realm of motivation, people management issues, brand, marketing, and business at large. Teaches at the Indian School of Business for 15 years now, in addition to semesters at overseas business school in the US and Europe. Author of Marketing Trends, a smart insight in the world of Indian business. Well, he has got a large CV, but I would not like to take more time. I would like to welcome Sri Harish Bijoor on the stage, please. Before I deliver his talk, please allow me to felicitate him on behalf of Adamas University.
A very good afternoon to each one of you. It's a pleasure being here in Kolkata. Every opportunity that I get to come to Kolkata, not too many, I take. Not for any particular reason, not because I love Kolkata. All of us love Kolkata. But I always believe this is beyond the city of joy, even. When I landed at the airport, the Jet Airways guy said, "Welcome to the city of joy." And I said, it is the city of joy, and it is the city of Arsalan and Shiraz. And so that is my primary lure, and the lure of the stomach cannot be equal to any other lure. Having said that, I'm going to spend 30 minutes with you, and hopefully I'll stick to the time in perfection. I'm going to be therefore fast-tracking some of my thoughts, but I must tell you that power corrupts and PowerPoint corrupts absolutely. So you'll have to bear with the PowerPoint presentation. I purposely put a PowerPoint because it's a post-lunch session, and post-lunch sessions are very, 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 very dangerous. Particularly if you've had that rasgulla just now. How many had the rasgulla just now? No? Yeah, okay, good. Lunch sessions, post-lunch sessions are always dangerous. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to get into my presentation and we'll finish it fast. I've always wondered, because I speak to various audiences of various sizes across various cities and towns and villages of India even. And I've always wondered, why do people invariably feel a little groggy and sleepy after lunch when they're in a session like this, or when they're sitting in a classroom? I am a very research-oriented person. I believe every step you take, every breath you take, you must market research your way. And therefore, I said I have to market research and find out why people sleep or fall asleep in a classroom situation or in a seminar situation after lunch. So I went to the market research guru of them all, which is Google, and I typed in, why do people sleep after lunch in a classroom? One simple stupid question, and I had about 80,000 answers coming up. That's how it is. But the top answer said, there was a paper from a professor at UCLA in the United States of America, and she has published a paper in which she has said why people fall asleep after lunch. See, serious research has gone into it. So I said, why? It seems when we eat a hearty meal, one meal, 23 minutes after the last morsel has gone down the gullet, 23 minutes. Empirical stuff. After 23 minutes, after you stopped eating for 23 minutes, the stomach recognizes that you've finished eating. And that's when the stomach apparently sends a message to the brain, and the brain sends a message out to say stomach alcohols must be released to digest the food. Acids. COOH. And stomach alcohols are generated. And alcohol, being alcohol, does not only go to the food, but it comes to the other parts of the body and makes us feel groggy. Why did I tell you this? Simply to tell you that if you feel sleepy in my presentation, never blame me. It's you and your body. Okay? Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with that starting point of blaming you, I'm going to go a little quick and I'm going to talk to you a little fast to keep this session alive. And I am going to be talking to you about positive disruption. I'm going to be talking about something which I've been researching for a long period of time, something that's called next practice, something that's called clean practice. I think whether you're in technology, whether you're in non-technology terrains, whatever you're in, extremely critical for us to understand the way the world of consumers is moving. So I'm going to talk to you about consumers. And first of all, I'm going to talk to you about what positive disruption is. So one of the first questions I'd like to pose and answer myself is, what is common to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, and Baba Ramdev? Now, don't give me nasty answers. I know I'm in Kolkata. Don't give me nasty answers. What's common to these three people? There is Prime Minister Modi, there is Mukesh Ambani, and there is Baba Ramdev. All three guys are guys who are positive disruption evangelists. Some of you will not agree it's positive disruption. But, I have to be sensitive to the city I'm in. Okay? If I was in, Madhya Pradesh, people would say talk differently. So, what is this positive disruption about? Look at all these three people. Each of them is a disruptionist. Narendra Modi became a disruptionist on the 8th of November, the moment he announced demonetization in this country. Totally. And he announced it with surprise. He had a bunch of bankers sitting somewhere. He had his cabinet sitting somewhere. And he told them all to switch on the television set. And at that, on the 8th of November, he decided demonetization was going to come. And they called it a battleground, an earthquake move of kinds. Demonetization is disruption. It has disrupted many people's lives. I don't want any voluntary answers, who's gotten disrupted and who's not gotten disrupted. But the point is, it has disrupted many people's lives. And guess what? It's aiming to create a less cash economy and a cashless economy. It may succeed, it may fail. But the point is, that's called positive disruption. Personality number 2, Mukesh Ambani. He runs a company called Jio. Mukesh Ambani's Jio created something called Jio Moment. What is the Jio Moment? Pulling the rug from under the feet of every telco operating in Indian space. Every heritage telco operating in Indian space. Whether it be an Airtel, an Aircel, a Vodafone, an Idea, never mind pulling the rug off, because he is operating on a completely new packet piece of technology where data is moving in packets of different kinds called VoLTE, voice over LTE. And guess what? Price has collapsed. Zero tariff till the 31st of December. We are told it's going to go up to 31st of March and beyond. Blazing speed internet. Zero buffering. I don't know what your experience in Kolkata is, but a completely new experience which is called a Jio Moment. This means that every business has to expect a Jio Moment in their lives sometime or the other. The IT end-to-end services industry needs to expect a Jio Moment sometime or the other in its life. Okay? Because actually the current revenue model is not working. I mean, automation has to go onto a big pathway, and, outcome-based payments seem to be becoming the norm, so it's going to happen. And the third guy, let's fast-track it. The third guy is called Baba Ramdev. Baba Ramdev, the yoga guru, businessman par excellence, who has created a business empire with Balakrishna, Acharya Balakrishna, and co. And these are entrepreneurs, new age entrepreneurs. What has Baba Ramdev done? How many of you in this room use a Patanjali Ayurveda product in your house? Any of you? Look around, sirs. 50% of the audience is using a Patanjali Ayurveda. How many of you use Patanjali's Dant Kanti toothpaste? Are? What is it? It's a horrible looking toothpaste. Its packaging is rustic. Its tube looks so 2012. That's long ago, you know that. But all of you are proudly using Dant Kanti. Why? Because the product is great. What has Baba Ramdev done? Baba Ramdev has trifurcated Indian retail. Indian retail was of three kinds. The first is the multinational corporation that came from overseas 80 years ago and started selling overseas brands, then started making brands in the country and selling. That is multinational competition. Hindustan Unilever Limited, Procter & Gamble, N numbers of companies. And then came the second wave of Indian MNCs. Indian MNCs, classic example from this city, the city of joy, ITC. Indian MNC. What does ITC say? I do not repatriate profits made in India to any foreign owner. And that's, to an extent, a little bit of Desh Bhakti, of saying, I keep the money in India. So, foreign multinational, Indian multinational, and ITC is getting bigger and bigger. And the third wave, in comes Baba Ramdev, what I call the Baba Cool companies. Not only Baba Ramdev. Baba Ramdev has launched this. Baba Ram, Rahim, Sri Ravi Shankar, and 23 other Babas, who I'll not name, have started their own FMCG enterprises in the country. And what is the idea? Chemicals are bad. Big multinationals use chemicals. Indian multinationals who have come up also use chemicals. I do not use chemicals. I am Ayurveda, the power of Ayurveda. And guess what? When he says that, he repositions anybody who's been in the space before. And the third wave, the third disruptionist I'm quoting today is Baba Ramdev. Narendra Modi and his demonetization. Mukesh Ambani and his Jio movement, pulling the rug from under the feet of every telecom player. And thirdly, Baba Ramdev trifurcating Indian radio. These are disruptions. So disruptionists are going to be a habit in our lives. Disruptionists are going to be a habit in technology. And we'll talk about some of it as we go along in this presentation. Disruption is life. That's what I'm saying. You know, a part of the way we live. We are going to live in a very, very disruptive manner. You know, continuity is gone. Continuity is gone. Sudden things will happen. Sudden 8th of November 2016 kind of events will happen. Sudden geo moments will happen. And we have to brace ourselves in technology and non-technology terrains to be a part of it. We live, do we? Sometimes I wonder whether we live at all. I keep saying we are not living. We are actually dying one day at a time. Each one is dying one day at a time, doing our own thing. You're dying this half an hour with me. Actually, that's a very precious loss of life. But that seems to be the reality. One day at a time, transform, disrupt, and transform seems to be the mantra, and that's the theme of this conference. If you really look at it, I call it the Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara moments of our lives. Brahma, the creator, you create something, create a piece of technology. You have to ensure that it lives, and at one point of time, you have to ensure that you destroy it. And on the destroyed ashes of that piece of technology, you create new stuff. And I can go on giving you 20 examples on this, but I won't. But disruption is life, is the point that I'm making. Business and marketing. How many of you are in business and marketing in your own lives? How many of you are in businesses? Yeah? Literally everybody? Yeah? We're all in some business or the other. Business imperatives are changing, my dear friends. Because the trigger point of all businesses is the consumer. All of us sell to consumers. You may be a B2B player, but your business is the consumer making. If not that, your business is the consumer. Some point of time or the other, you go touch a consumer. There is a chip, and that chip touches consumers. Intel recognized it one fine day, and it said, I am going to become very B2C oriented with my Intel Inside story, and they got away with murder. If you really look at it, all customers and businesses have two currencies. We live for customers. Customers have two currencies. And currency one is called money, and currency two is called time. I'll spend a minute on this. What is the meaning of this? Simply to say that customers have two currencies. One is money, one is time. Money they have in their pocket. Time, I don't know where they have. But guess what? Money is not so important as time anymore. Because money can be earned. Money can be topped up. Time cannot be earned. Time cannot be topped up. You cannot go to a retail counter and say, can you top up my time? It's running out. Can you top up 2 years of my life? No, you can't. And that's one of the reasons why new generation technology is really talking about crunching time. If you're working at the cutting edge of time crunching pieces of technology, you're doing it just because there is a recognition at the front end that time is more important than money. This customer is also changing dramatically. The demands on his or her currencies is changing on a continuous basis. Morphing forever in mind, attitude, usage, habit, every way, consumption, everything is changing about this consumer. And this consumer is a very important part of the person we sell to. This chain needs to be noticed by you. This chain needs to be tracked by you. And the customer's customer, who is your customer as well, needs to be tracked by you. So point number one is, when we are in the space of technology, extremely important to understand what is the last link in this piece of technology, And the last link is more important than the first link. Yes, for your immediate revenue, your first link is important, but for your consistent revenue flow over a period of time, the last link is more important than the first link. Customer interaction avatars are many. All of us know that, there's no tight definition really anywhere. We have something called a business called B2B. How many of you are in B2B businesses? You sell something to another business. Yeah, quite a few. Yep. How many of you in B2C businesses, consumer businesses? B2C? Yeah, another bit. How many of you are into business to machine selling? Not yet? Not yet? Okay. How many of you are machine to business selling? Not yet? Yeah, will come. How many of you are machine to machine selling? We have this business of, a state government is actually inviting tenders to remove corruption. The government of India is planning a situation where one machine, a machine of HCL, will in an automated manner tender with the government of Madhya Pradesh machine with no human intervention, tracking about 82 or to 85 parameters, and the entire tender process is dealt machine to machine, M2M commerce. And the top 3 will be listed and no corruption, hopefully, because anyway, some point of time or the other, a human being has to come in there. But the point is, the least path to corruption seems to be M2M. So there's M2M. And of course, there's machine to customer. There is customer to machine. These are all processes which are there. And all of us know there's something called customer to customer, which is any space like eBay, etc., where there's customer to customer interaction. These are the several avatars you and I play with. And there are more, of course. Business is complex. The customer is very eccentric as well. All of us know that. And the BC Gen is here. I have a friend. I call the BC Gen, don't mistake me. Whenever I use this terminology in Delhi, they get very upset or get very happy instead. The BC Gen means the bio-clock generation. Bio-clock generation is the thing which says, I have little time, get going, get moving, I want to know what's happening. I have a friend in Bangalore. She's all of 25 years old. She works in a BPO outfit. She's going to Goa for 3 days. She's actually pulled out a full spreadsheet. She says 3 days in Goa, I have 8 meals to eat before I catch my flight back. Each of the meal is tracked on Zomato. Each of the meal is planned. Each of the cab drive or distance drive is all tracked. And she says, life is short. Life is short. I'm going to Goa for 3 days. I have to make the best of every 3 days. How do we go to Goa? Chumma go there. Go whichever way. Relax. Chill. Now, the bio-clock generation is the generation of your children and maybe their children eventually who really plan every moment. And I think the consumer is crazy, the bio-clock generation guy. Marketeers need to sit up and smell the coffee really. Technology evangelists need to do the same. We're a young nation. We're an impatient nation. India is very, very young. 63% of the population is below the age of 35. How many of you are below the age of 35 here? Please put up your hands. You're 63%. You're a minority here. Sorry, you're a minority. 54% of the population is below the age of 25. How many of you below 25 here? What? Thank you. One person. Okay. You are a minority. You're decimated. But guess what the tragedy of Indian technology is? Decision makers are much above the median age of the country. We older people decide for the youngest of people in this country. So I think there is an important link that we need to connect between being old and becoming young. India is impatient, my dear friends. So impatient that you don't even know how impatient. How many of you people in this room are impatient people? Yeah, good. I'll tell you the story of an impatient guy. This guy is my son. He's now 17 and he used to be 14 3 years ago. He went to school in the morning. He stood for the position of a sports secretary. Evening he came back home. And when he came back home, he looked very depressed. Accidentally, he found his father at home that evening. Father looks at the son, and I went up to him. I thought he had lost, and I take my hand and say, son, in Kannada, which is my mother tongue, I say, son, winning and losing is a part of the game. If any of you have a 14-year-old son, You will know what 14-year-old guys do. He pushed my hand off and says, Appa, I did not lose. 14-year-olds of today don't like losing. Winning is everything. We have lost all our lives. But still, for them, winning is it. Winning is the only way to go. I sat him down and I asked him what happened. He said, Appa, election happened in the morning, results are not out. I looked at him and said, impatient guy, this is horrible. So I sat him down and gave him Gyan for 20 minutes. The first Gyan, because please note, all of us have grown up with the simple ethos to say, patience is virtue. Impatience is a sin. This new generation is reverse. So I looked at him and I spoke to him. First thing I spoke to him about Mahatma Gandhi. I spoke to him about how Gandhiji, what he had to say about patience. And guess what, my son, 14-year-old, does not emote with Mahatma Gandhi at all. The only Mahatma Gandhi he used to emote with is on the currency note, 500 rupee. I used to give the old currency to him. That was his emotion with Mahatma Gandhi. No other Gandhi he was emoting with Rahul Gandhi, and even that is a little bit of a problem. The next person I spoke to him about was Swami Vivekananda. 20 minutes Gyan I was giving him. What Swami Vivekananda ji had to say. It was his 150th birth anniversary at that point of time. I spoke to him. He does not emote with Swami Vivekananda. He doesn't understand patience. The only Swami he works with is Swami Mega Nityananda. He comes from that generation. But my young son does not emote. 20 minutes later, he looks at me and says, Appa, tell me one thing. When you can be impatient, why be patient? When you can be impatient, why be patient? Is the new generation guys talk. And I think that is one of the things we need to learn. Companies are good at patience marketing. You people in technology are good at patience marketing. I am good at patience marketing, but we are not good at impatience marketing. And I think anything that crunches time is being looked at. The iGen is here. This is the impatient generation. Why India all across the world and the nation is getting digitized in a frenetic manner. And digital anarchy is ahead. Digital anarchy is about saying that everything that is on the ground is getting decimated and everything is going digital. Everything. Cash. Have you noticed how cash is going digital altogether? Have you understood the fact that Paytm, which has a $3 billion had a $3 billion GMV last year, is getting $5 billion this year. The total number of Paytm, Freecharge, app downloads have gone up 600%. Utilization of credit cards has gone up by 720% in 15 days' time. The last week's data is still not in, but 15 days' time, this is the kind of stuff that's happening. What's the meaning of it? I think digital reality and everything getting digitized is getting to be the real feature of where we are. And that's the exciting opportunity for technology guys, technology players, startups in every kind of space that we're talking about. And guess what, guys? The era of the IoT is here. How many of you actually use an IoT device today? Any of you? Yeah. What is it, sir? A watch. Yeah. It could be IoT. Again, a watch? A fitness tracker? Hey, Fitbit. Yeah. And Fitbit is such a thing. You wear it on your hand and it tells you 10,000 steps you have to take every day. World Health Organization, evening you go back. You can compare on the net. How many people of your own age who live across the world, how many steps did they walk? Were you ahead? Were you behind? How many hours did you sleep? 20 different things. My fridge is actually ordering eggs from the shop which is downstairs. And I have actually enabled my fridge with a credit card entitlement. My fridge is not only ordering, my fridge is also paying. I mean, I have set a limit of 1,000 rupees because otherwise we don't know what will happen to these pieces of technology. 206 pieces of ready-to-use IoT technology items are on the shelves across 82 countries of the world. And we are talking about maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 of them which are actually rolled out in India already in a big way. IoT is here, well nigh nearly, In our business preparation cycle at the back end, there's going to be a huge sensor-led future. Everything is getting sensor-led. Manufacturing is sensor-led. I mean, manufacturing lines are sensor-led. The Indian rail coach factory at Perambur is actually on a sensor-led future. The complete, and that's Indian Railways, man, which was supposed to be so backward once upon a time, not anymore. We're talking about us getting onto the IoT curve for manufacturing. My car, which I drive, has got about 26 chips in them. And my chips in my car are talking not to Sundaram Motors, who's my garage. They're talking to Berlin. Berlin? A chip in my car is talking to Berlin. Why? Because the brake liner that they put when I bought the car is actually giving day-to-day real-time data, uploading and downloading on a continuous basis and telling them how I'm driving. I'm a reckless driver and my brake liner is saying within 18 months his brake liner is going to go kaput. And if I'm in my 16th month of my brake liner has already made an order on Berlin to dispatch one brake liner to Sundaram Motors on account of my car so that the brake liner is ready when my car breaks down and I don't have to wait for 3 weeks for it to come from Berlin. Predictive manufacturing. Good God, Big Brother is watching you. Guys, I'm not going to talk about too many of these pieces. You are quite familiar with it. Science fiction is reality today. And my brake liner is talking to Berlin. What about security issues? No security issues. My brake liner is talking away. My fridge is talking to my washing machine. My washing machine is talking to my hairdryer. All that is okay. Just as long as my washing machine is talking to my fridge and not my washing machine talking to Mrs. Kapoor's washing machine. Then they'll start gossiping. But the point is the era of IoT is here. We have 11 billion devices in the world today, my dear friends, and we're talking about 26 billion devices ahead. 26 billion devices. About 10 billion devices of 26 billion will be mobile smartphones. Okay? But 16 billion devices will be newly enriched IoT devices which are going to come into our lives. Or is it likely to be 46 billion? Because there's another number which comes out. There's a Gartner number, there's a non-Gartner number, there's another number which says 46 billion number. We have moved, my dear friends, from human to human to machine-oriented communication in a big, big way. To machine communication. In the old days, you remember a human being would talk to another human being using a phone. I will pick up my phone and talk to my friend. I will call on the phone my friend will pick up the phone and we'll both talk. Now, my phone will talk to his phone. And that's exactly what's happening. There's a lot of upload, download, 20 different things happening. With the human literally becoming redundant even. Okay, 1,23,000 jobs have become redundant in India today. In India. In the IT end-to-end services industry. One of the things we guys do in IT is testing. Testing is getting automated like mad. Not only testing is getting automated, the supervisor of testing is getting automated. That is, automation is supervising automation. Now, how far up it will go, we don't know. But the point is, levels and levels are moving into automation and into a sensor-led future. Everything is predictive. Big data, everything is predictive. Predictive ordering, predictive manufacturing, predictive selling, predictive marketing, predictive branding, predictive advertising, predictive everything. Everything, your every step, your every move is getting predicted. And accuracy is about 97.1% as of now. 97.1%, which is not bad at all. 97.1% is exciting, my dear friends. Very exciting. And what did we think? This will never happen. That's disruption. Is it positive or not? To the consumer, it's positive disruption. To people who work in the space of technology and to those people who have lost their jobs on the testing front and who are reskilling on other things now, for them, it's disruption, which is negative. In the old days, that is in 2015, companies employed human predictors for stuff. In the days ahead, machine predictors will replace humans. And guess what? Machines will be more precise than humans. Because machines have no feelings. They work on an algorithm base which actually is possibly more sensitive than even sensitive human beings. Systems and processes replace a large part of the customer centricity process. And guess what, my dear friends? The future ahead is more reliable than the past we have been through. And that's going to be a reality which you and I are going to face in a continuous manner, thanks to the sensor. So a sensor-led future is what we're talking about. So I coined together about 4 years ago, I put together this word and I wrote a paper on this, and it's called, those of you interested in reading my paper on So Mo Klo Litikira can read it on my Twitter account. How many of you on Twitter? Twitter. Literally all of you. No, this is a small number. Only 50% on Twitter. This is horrendously shocking. Technology folks, only 50% on Twitter. Please go and join Twitter and follow Shashi Tharoor. Please do that. I keep saying those who live by Twitter die by Twitter. So Mo Klo Litikira. When I wrote this paper 4 years ago, people asked, what in tarnation is this? And I said there is something called social media, which is very big for technology people. There's something called mobility. We are talking about 10 billion devices out of 26 billion devices in the future. Cloud. Who is not on the cloud? I mean, literally, there's everything on the cloud today. And analytics. You know, and So is social, Mo is mobile, Klo is cloud, and Litic is analytics. Depending which audience I'm talking about to, I call it differently. I mean, this audience, I thought I'll call it So Mo Klo Litikira. If you look at it, add IoT to this. So Mo Klo Litic and IoT, and the cocktail of the business ahead of us is very clear. If we operate in these spaces, I think we're going the right track. All this is demanding change in the way we think about customers, the way we manage our customer centricity process, everything. Move over all this, move over best practice. Many of us have worked with best practice, you know, in our, possibly in early engineering days, one would study best practice. In management practice, you studied best practice. When you got into an organization, you studied Deming, Baldrige model, 4 other models, and these 6 models became best practice ethos. Best practice is over, my dear friends. It's old hat. Best practice is dead. Long live best practice. There's nothing called best practice anymore. I keep saying move over old practice. Best practice is old practice. Move over next practice. Come in next practice. And next practice is really a bunch of things. And I'm going to discuss about 3 of them out of 47. And I will actually do a time check before I do that, just to be sure. No, I'm going to discuss maybe only 2 of them because I don't have enough time to discuss the third one. One is what I call clean practice marketing. Okay, what is clean practice marketing? Look around you. Look around you, my dear friends. I put this subject called clean practice marketing about 8 years ago. I put it together after a visit to Italy. I love coffee. I was traveling in Italy. I'll tell you how I came about. I was traveling to Italy. How many of you like coffee? Yeah, you feel like one. No. I was traveling in Italy. I was traveling in a small prefecture in Italy. I walked up to the counter. I was there, you know, even before you sit down, you had to go and pay at the counter before you got the coffee. So I went and paid the money at the counter. And as I was paying the money, the guy looks at me and says, "Sir, would you like," it's a cafe, "would you like to suspend a coffee?" Suspend a coffee? I said, I worked 20 years in corporate life, never ever suspended a human being. Suspend a coffee? This is what I'm thinking. Then I asked him, what do you mean suspend a coffee? The guy didn't tell me straight away. He looks at me and says, "Sir, you're a rich man." Now, you know how we Indians feel when somebody points at you and says, "You're a rich man." You'll say, "Shubh shubh bolo, I'm not rich," and all that. I said, "No, I'm not rich." He said, "You come from India. India is a rich country." I looked at him. This is in Italy. I looked at him and I said, "India is a poor country, and the only person who's rich is of Italian origin." He didn't understand it. He didn't understand it. He didn't understand it. The guy looks at me and says, "You are rich because you bought a plane ticket to come here. You will have to go back by plane. Plane tickets are expensive." I said, "Okay, man, I'm rich." Then the guy looks at me and he says, "You're rich. The rich must take care of the poor. Italy is a poor country." I said, "What do you mean?" "You're sitting in my cafe, you're drinking coffee." He showed me outside. There are people walking up and down. They also want coffee. They also want a bagel. I said, "So, what can I do?" He says, "The rich must take care of the poor." So I said, "What do you mean by suspended coffee?" He says, "You buy one coffee." He asked me, "If you walked into my shop with a friend, would you have bought him or her a cup of coffee?" So I said, "Yeah, if it was her, definitely yes. Him, I'm not sure." Guy said, "Imagine you came into my shop with a friend." I said, "Okay, imagine. I was paying coffee and I'm a true blue desi. When I go overseas, I immediately look at the menu and convert the lira into Indian rupees straight away in nanoseconds in my computer Shakuntala Devi mind. I was paying 360 rupees for a small cappuccino. This guy is saying, you give me 360 rupees more. I said, for what? He says, I said, I don't want 2 coffees. He said, I won't give you. Then I said, I should still give you 720 rupees in equivalent in Indian rupees. He said, yes. What will you do with it? He says, 1 coffee I'll give you for 360. Another I'll suspend. What's the meaning of suspend? He showed me a whiteboard out there, and against it, cappuccino, latte, bagel, donut, pizzas. Against that, there are tally marks. He said, those tally marks are suspended item status in my shop. Good people like you who walked in, paid for 2, took only 1, left 1 back, and that 1 back will be given to any poor Italian who walks in and looks hungry or thirsty and asks with pride, give me a suspended item. Arey wow, arey wow. I was totally thrilled. And I said, but I'm still true blue desi. I'm still true blue. I asked him, okay, I will suspend like that. How will he know that I gave him that coffee? See, that's the question. If you give something, that person must know that you gave. You know the modern definition of charity, no? If you give charity, the whole world must know about it. You must figure on the Harun list. You must figure on the Harun list. Otherwise what? If people don't talk about the charity that you did, what's the point? The guy, that small prefecture guy looks at me in Italy and he says, sir, your right hand must not know what you gave, the left hand gave to anybody. This is something my grandmother used to tell me. It's an old Indianism. That guy in Italy is telling me. I said, okay. Then I said, another true blue Indian question. After that, I'll finish this. I asked, what do I get in return? See, that's the other question. If you give, you must get something back. He looked at me and he said, blessings, blessings. What? Blessings? Either you will get it. My grandmother used to tell me, either you will get it, or your children will get it, or you in your 8th birth will get it. I think, this really opened my mind, and I put together the science called clean practice branding. And I actually practice clean practice branding with 8 corporations across the world. We've been doing it for the past 6.5 years. There are different business models at play. I'll not go into it in detail because I don't have the time. I have another 4 minutes in which I will finish. Essentially, like to say that the world is changing into a cleaner place. Consumers are craving cleaner practices. And believe it or not, out of 8 corporations, none of them are Indian corporations. The 9th corporation would have been Indian. There's one Indian corporation which we have been talking to, and they've been talking to us. But the corporation is under a little bit of trouble now, and therefore they haven't progressed that matter. But if not for that, I think there are 8 corporations practicing it to great advantage, which means to say, think outside of the box, go beyond best practice, go into clean practice, because there is a hunt for hygiene in our lives, a hunt for clean air, clean water, clean everything, clean politics, clean everything. If you really look at it, a hunt for clean politics, we saw that, a hunt for clean governance, which is a hunt, this is a reactionary moment really. First we dirty everything, and then we want to clean it up. And that seems to be the marketing guilt, and marketeers are equally guilty for all this. My clean practice equation is a simple one. Clean input is equal to clean output. The beginning point is therefore clean intent. Marketing intent needs redefinition of every kind in every piece of whatever we do in every organization. And the marketing vision statement, mission statement needs to change. You need to revisit this in a big way. And the clean practice initiative is a very, very important thing. And suspended coffee is one thing that I said. Second point, and after this second point I'll close, I'll avoid the third point, which is everything with meaning. The customer must be led, and you as a marketer needs to be one step ahead in technology marketing. One step ahead of him. Everybody. There are spaces in our life which are completely unclean. Real estate is a classic example. There's nothing clean about most real estate. Okay. So I think, we need to work, and you lead and he follows. Here's one from the slow food movement. Well, I don't know if I'll talk to you about slow food, but let's forget slow food. You can read it up on my Twitter ID, which is at Harish Bijoor. There's a paper on that. I'll finish with the last one, which is products ahead of the want curve even. We don't even know what new product needs to be there. Not yet. Till the first guy offers it ahead of us all. And one of the classic things I want to talk to you about here is the product development on clean practice norms. And there's a last piece, and after that I'll close, which is to say, I wrote a paper about 11 years ago on the great Indian mousetrap. Mousetrap? Mousetrap? How many of you use mousetrap in your house to catch a mouse? Yeah. Many of us have got that problem. Yeah. The paper has 16 versions of mousetraps. I studied mousetraps. I took 1.5 years to understand mousetraps. I come from Bengaluru, IT city in many ways. And I will call it my paper. In my paper, I called Mousetrap version 1.0. 1.0. 1.0 version is an old mousetrap. One small piece of wood, another piece of wood, a piece of spring. On the spring, you put cheese. No, in India, we never put cheese. We eat the cheese, we put copra there. Copra, and the rat comes in the night. Housewife keeps the rat trap in the kitchen. Rat eats it. Kachak, next morning, blood, gore in the kitchen. Rat was the problem. Solution was the mousetrap. Mousetrap is out. Version 1.0. How many of you have ever used this kind of rat trap in your house? Please put up your hands. I have. Yeah, okay. But this is cruel. So product development evangelists went into clean practice. In came version 2.0. The same device inside a box with jali in front. One small little piece coming up. The rat will go deep inside, eat the copra, get caught. A small piece of the rat tail will be broken. But that's it. Rat is alive in the morning. How many of you have used this kind of a version 2.0? Yeah. Thank you for being such a good audience. The first version was bad because bad karma came to the housewife. She set the rat trap, she killed a rat in the morning. First thing she has to see the rat. Second version, rat had to be killed because you can't leave the rat outside, it will come back. It's left traces. What would you do? 11 o'clock when Shantabai comes to your house, your maid servant, Shantabai is given the task of filling a bucket, dipping that whole thing in till the bubble stops, then rat is thrown out. Bad karma is outsourced to Shantabai. But geographically bad karma is still in the house. Version 2.0. I'm going to skip all the other versions. Those who want to read it on my handle. Version 15.0. There is something called a sticky pad. Sticky pad. God. How many use it? What happens to the sticky pad? You throw it out and on the road, and a truck has to or a car has to pass on it, or it will get eaten alive by a cat. Still not clean practice. Version 17.0, which is coming up, is a sonar device which actually emits rays in a particular way, and it ensures that the reproduction ability of a rat is cut off. It's not yet launched widely because they are worried it's also affecting humans. So we have to wait. Do you understand this, my dear friends? Version 1.0, cruel, 2.0, cleaner, 3.0, cleaner, till you come to the end, you want cleaner and cleaner products at the end of the day. Okay, I'm not doing this. I'm going to close with this. I'll just summarize my presentation. Let's get customer-centric then. Adopt it. Customer centricity is it. Buy it wherever you get it. Steal it wherever you get it. I've used the hashtag because that's the way young people talk, and you know I'm so bloody young. Marry it, live with it, breathe it, whatever you want. In the future, people cannot manage their customers, only systems can. Systems will manage customers. Sensors will manage customers. Data will manage customers. Somo-clolytic era. Processes will manage customers. Automation will manage customers. Excitingly in the future, it's the system, silly, not the people. I'm making a very, very big point out here, my dear friends. I'm just trying to say that those of us who respected the element of the human being in technology need to grow up and accept the fact that technology is it. It's the system, silly. It's not the people. Let's get humble in technology. Let's facilitate this future and let's enter the Somoflow Litikira. Ouch! I know it pains. In sum, choose your customer centricity model. Model 1 is customer centricity model that makes things happen. Model 2 is model that watches things happen. And model 3 is one that wonders what happened. If you don't want to be in the third one, you have to be in the first one. Technology is it. The choice is totally ours. And I think we need to go ahead with this technology-centric future with happiness ahead. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here. Let's keep in touch. We may or may not have time for questions. If we have, I can take it. But I'm leaving an email ID here, fully understanding that you may not have time for questions. Whoever mails me and says you were at INFOCOM 2016, I promise to reply to you within 24 hours. And I'm also giving you a LinkedIn ID, which is Harish Bijoor. And of course, we can be in touch on Twitter at Harish Bijoor. It's been an absolute pleasure. You've been a darling of an audience. All the best and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that very awakening session. May I now request Mr. K.K. Mahapatra, Organizing Secretary, INFOCOM, and Associate Vice President, IT Infrastructure Business, ABP Private Limited, to hand over a memento to Mr. Harish Bijoor.